Hey, I'm Ashley Naylor. I have a son that goes to Friendswood High School. His name's Isaiah. He's a junior. I'm also a teacher here at the high school and a leader for Young Life.
My name is KK Jenkins, and I have a senior, Madison, and two freshmen, Jackson and Sydney.
My name is Joseph Brownfield. I'm a teacher at Friendswood High School and a volunteer Young Life leader.
My name is Emily Bryant, and I have two daughters in Young Life. Olivia is a freshman, and Blake is a junior.
So we are Joel and Stacy Muller, and we have a son, Travis, who is a junior at Friendswood High School.
I really learned about Young Life when my oldest daughter, Blake, was a freshman and started saying, "Mom, I'm going to Young Life." And I didn't really know what it was. I had no experience with Young Life, but I just saw that it was something that she really looked forward to and didn't want to miss, and made her really happy, and that gave her something to be a part of, and I loved that.
I was invited to Young Life every single year that I was in high school here at Friendswood, but I didn't go until my senior year when my friend Rachel invited me to Campaigners, and I got to see what it really was about. When I went to Campaigners, I realized that these people were talking about honest things, and they were talking about them honestly, and they were just trying to learn more about Jesus.
So we first heard about Young Life through some neighbors in the first neighborhood that we lived in, and they invited us to a banquet. We knew nothing about it. Our boys were very young, and so we just said yes and went, and I really was impressed by the leaders that spoke, and it just seemed real, like they were meeting kids where they were at in high school.
So Blake came home and asked me if they could have their last Young Life Club of the year, which was a blacklight party up in our movie room. And I said, sure, no problem. Little did I know there was maybe over 60 kids heading up the stairs one by one. And we sat in our kitchen and listened to all the fun going on and watching the chandeliers shake a little bit over the island. But it was bringing me such joy because I knew those kids were up there having such a good time, all because of their faith.
I immediately knew that there was something truly amazing and different that was going on whenever the kids would get together on Monday night, and they just were in a place that was safe, that was fun, that where they heard about God and they got to just celebrate being together. We talk about the different ways that God meets our needs, and we not only talk about it, but we also show them.
I look at what Travis gets out of it, and it's just, he looks forward to, he likes club, it's fun, but he looks forward to Campaigners, and that is, I don't have to say, hey, are you going to Campaigners? I mean, he makes it a priority, and he has, and it's just awesome to see how he has grown because of Young Life.
And it's different because he's not going to church with his parents. It's not, hey, we're all going to church, you're going to Sunday school or whatever. It's his own thing.
All kids need a place to come together, and I think that is so important, and I think that's what Young Life is. It's a place where they can come together and find joy, and that's something I'm always going to be behind.
After my senior year of high school, I went to Young Life Camp at Wilderness Ranch with some people who would eventually become my best friends. The depth of conversation and the spiritual growth that happened at Young Life Camp was incredible. I realized what Young Life was about, but really I realized what Jesus was about.
I remember loading the bus and did not feel any hesitation whatsoever on my part. And when she got home, there were times when I kind of just sat in awe and listened to her talk about not just her experiences, but her observations about herself and finding ways to work through her daily life from the experiences that she had through Young Life Camp.
So I ended up going and spending time helping at camp. I did Frontier Ranch a couple of years with a group and really got to see what the kids get to experience at camp. And I wish every single parent could go as an adult guest, go as a leader, to see what happens when kids go to camp.
I really fell in love with the idea of Young Life leaders and what they do for our kids. So I'd seen it on the boys' end and what the leaders meant to them, but seeing that behind the scenes really made me want to support the leaders in my community.
I chose to be a leader because I saw what students were going through in my classroom, and I got to see them every single day here. And seeing them outside of school, seeing them where real stress and real problems exist, has changed my relationships with them. But it's also let me see them where real joy and real happiness and where their real interests lie. And it's so cool to see a more full version of each and every one of my students.
The beautiful thing about Young Life Camp is that as leaders, we come back and we're able to spend the rest of the year just building those relationships. And they want somebody that's not just there 1 or 2 times. They want somebody that they know they're going to walk the walk, and they're going to be there with them through their struggles and through their good times, their celebrations. I've seen God just weave people in and out of our circle of leadership that we're there for those, students, that we can help support them. So leaders are people that show up at football games and go to, homecoming events, or go to lunch, or let's hang out and watch a movie, or let's go shop, or do whatever. So leaders are not just there on Mondays and Wednesdays, but they're pretty much engaged in everyday life with students.
Young Life is important at Friendswood High School because it offers kids a different story. It lets them see life from a different perspective. They get to press pause on stress at school. They get to pause their planning for the future. They get to stop worrying about college and friends and whatever else may be going on. And they get to just concentrate on who Jesus is and what he thinks about them.
Young Life is yes, an amazing weekly chance for your child to be close to God and to grow in their faith. But it is also a weekly opportunity for human connection. And I feel like in our day and age, our kids need that. Like they need water and food. Human connection is so important. They're so surrounded by technology, their phones, they're looking at their phones. They're thinking they're making connections with the people in their phones, but they're not. And when they get to Young Life, they're acting silly. They're playing ridiculous games that often involve them getting very dirty. They're laughing. The first few minutes of the club, they're just hanging out and talking to each other and getting together.
I see it affect all kids of all kinds, whether they're where they want to be in their faith, or they're hoping to become stronger, or even if they're already strong in their faith but they're not comfortable expressing it. There is something for every child. And it also takes those that are ready for the next step and develops them into not just leaders, but also teaches them how to be inclusive and how to truly show their faith to their friends.
It's a life-changing experience that can help them as their students in high school, and also as they go off to college. And then, like my daughters are both in college now, and they say that foundation that was built when they were in high school with Young Life is really what gave them the strength to go to college and just know that God is always with them.
Because it really goes after kids that may not have a particular church home. And I think it's important for those kids to be able to experience just a glimpse of Jesus as well. And I think that's just a good way to introduce them to Jesus without maybe being too overbearing. I think it's just a good place to start for them.
It's talking about Jesus and learning about Jesus in a real way and with real friends in real situations.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's worth it.
It's so worth it.